Okay, welcome to the Unit 4 Marketing Management Price Presentation Lecture. Now, as you know, we did talk about the marketing mix being product, price, place, and promotion. This will be part 2 of the presentation lecture, in which we'll be focusing on strictly the P price portion of the marketing mix. All right, so pricing. Pricing is what is used in order to determine how much we are going to charge for a product or service. So what exactly is pricing? It is exactly that. And so why is proper and thoughtful pricing important? Well, there's a number of different reasons why. First of all, we need to be able to cover our production costs, but then we also, more importantly, want to be able to make a profit on what we are selling. So the price has to take all that into consideration, and there has to be something left over where we are getting some fruits for our labor and we are seeing some restitution for our efforts. Why are pricing decisions difficult to make? Well, the reason why they're difficult to make is because everybody would love to charge as much as they possibly could as long as there are going to be consumers out there to purchase the product. Then we can maximize our profit per unit sold. However, that's not going to always be the case. We need to be able to come up with a price that is going to be within the demand of the market, which is required, and then also find a price that is going to cover our costs and be able to provide us with a profit. At the same time, be competitive within our competitors so that we can draw consumers into purchasing our products rather than buying our competitors' products. How do companies set the prices for their products? They take into consideration things such as cost of what it's going to cost in order to create and make the product and bring it to the market, as well as then how much we want to make as a profit. So there is going to be a number of different things that is going to be determined or is going to have to be determined before a price can be set for a particular product. This is probably one of the most tedious but yet most important portions of the marketing mix. Okay, so let's take a look at some factors that influence price. When it comes to determining a price, we can't just pick a price and say, boop, that's what we're going to sell it for. There's going to be some things that we have to consider. Costs and expenses. What is it costing us to make that product? What other expenses are going into us being able to make that product and bring it to market? Supply and demand, economic indicators such as supply and demand. Is supply meeting demand? Is there a demand for the product? And if there is a demand for the product, how much are our consumers willing to pay? Consumer perceptions. Consumer perceptions are the behaviors and some of the psychographics that go along with our target market. What are their thoughts in terms of buying and paying for a particular product? If there's a product out there and they're willing to pay $30 for that product, then we can charge $30 for that product. If they're willing to pay $30 for that product and we charge $60, chances are they're not going to buy it. Our competition, whether or not our competitors are selling it and what prices are they selling, because we need to be competitive with them in order to try and influence consumers to purchase our products rather than our competitors' products. Government regulations might come into play as well, and finally, technological trends. So there's quite a number of factors that need to be considered before determining the price for a particular product. These are just 6 of them. There are others, and some of them will overlap as we go through and address each one of these factors to come up with the perfect price. All right, so how to determine prices? Let's take a look at this. First of all, what are our pricing objectives? Pricing objectives might come along the lines of trying to figure out what do we want to make, how much profit do we want per unit sold. That might help us set our basic price. This is what we want to start at. We might determine then what the perception is and the reaction of the market. Are they willing to purchase this? Are we setting our price too high or too low? Or are we right where we want to be? Determine our pricing policy. What are we going to determine? What factors are we going to consider to be most important when determining our price? And then finally, number 4, set price based on the stage in the product life cycle. Now, we've just gone through that in product, in which we went through and analyzed some products and where they are in the different stages of the product life cycle. And remember, when it comes to the product life cycle, the primary goal is to not let the product get into the decline phase. One of the ways we can try and keep the product from getting into the decline phase is to manipulate the price of that product. All right, so let's take a look at setting pricing objectives. What do you want to accomplish with your prices? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to obtain a return on our investment. Our return on our investment is that we are going to return to us the amount that is earned as a result of that investment. So whatever we are investing in the cost of making that product, we want to be able to get that back in sales. We want to set the price to receive to achieve that particular return. And if we do not, then we are just spinning our wheels and we are not making progress. But if we go overboard and try to overextend our return on investment, we might not reach it at all either. So it's one of those things where you have to find that happy medium where you're going to be able to get a return on investment, but you're not overextending yourself. And by doing that, hopefully, we are going to have a little bit of a secondary objective that's going to be met in terms of obtaining market share. Market share is our portion of the total sales generated by all of the competing companies within a particular industry. This pie diagram here indicates the soft drink industry, and as you can see, Coca-Cola has the major part of the market share. And there's also Pepsi, and there's the diet products, and then there are also some other ones that are kind of sprinkled in there, but basically what market share is trying to get the biggest piece of the pie. All right, so setting a basic price. Cost-based pricing. We are going to consider business costs and our profit objectives. Those are going to be major contributors to what we're going to set for a price for our product. And to calculate price, the best way to go about doing this is to take the cost to make or buy the product plus the cost of doing business plus the profit margin or markup that we wish to obtain. That will give us a good indication of what we want to charge for this particular product. Now, don't worry, we'll be doing some examples and you'll be getting some practice on this in calculating out the proper price for products based off of these different factors. Now, another thing we might want to do is demand-based pricing. Find out what customers are willing to pay for the product and then base your pricing strategy around that. This is useful when demand for a product is inelastic, which means price does not affect demand. A way for a product where price does not affect demand is gasoline. We had this conversation, and it came up actually in our product. When we were doing our product life cycle, we were talking about gasoline, and gasoline is one of those things that it is needed, and therefore, no matter what the price is, we're still going to need it to operate our vehicles and our small machinery. So gasoline is a great example of a product that is an inelastic, has an inelastic price demand inelastic demand on price. Customers believe that your product has greater value than competitors. So that means no matter what, they're going to buy from you because you have totally blown away your competition, and your competition is not seen to be a relative threat to the quality of your product. Therefore, customers are willing to pay more for it. Now, other items when setting a basic price, competition-based pricing, finding out what your competitors are charging, and then meeting that or at least being comparable to that. Determine if it is to your advantage to price below, in line, or above your competitors. Only concerned with being competitive. Don't try and get too cute here. Meet the competition, beat the competition, and let's leave it at that. Let's not try and overextend ourselves again to the point where we start losing market share. Now, setting a price based on price simulation. Let's say that you manage a corner store and you need to strategically price certain items. So what you have is a gallon of milk, 20-ounce Coke bottle, bananas, and a loaf of bread. Now, the cost to the merchant are these prices here. Now, what we are going to do as an example in class is we are going to take a look and see each group will have a different basic price. So we have cost-based pricing, demand-based pricing, and competition-based pricing. So when we take that into consideration, how are we going to determine what we are going to charge for these products for our customers to purchase? All right, which line would you choose for each basic price? Now, if we wanted to obtain a target return on investment, remember return on investment is the amount earned as a result of the investment, we're going to set a price that's going to receive to achieve that return. Otherwise, we might want to take a different approach in which we are trying to obtain market share. If we are trying to obtain market share, we might want to try doing something such as price penetration, in which we are going to lower our price below our competitors and take a loss to obtain market share and let the profits come at a later date. Either one of these different pricing objectives is going to have an element of risk to it. How much risk are you willing to endure when pricing this product? Now, when you determine your pricing policy, this is going to free you from making the same pricing decision over and over again. It's also going to help your customers know what to expect. There are two different types of pricing policies or these are the two, I guess, that are most commonly used. There's flexible price policy, which is going to allow customers to haggle over the price, or there's one price policy, which is all customers pay the same price. So flexible price policy you'll see when you purchase a vehicle, most likely. One price policy is when you are buying groceries, say, from a grocery store. Number 4, set price based on stage in the product life cycle. All right, so here we go. This is when we find out that we have our product falling into the later stages of the life cycle. So we might do something known as price skimming. This is charging a high price to recover cost and maximize profit as quickly as possible. However, doing this, we have to understand that we're probably not going to sell as much volume of product, but we are going to get a higher profit per item sold. Prices then drop when the product is no longer unique. You'll see this happening when we see this a lot, especially in the video game industry, where a product is on the market, it is at a high price, and then all of a sudden the product is no longer unique, and we have to lower the prices to able to continue to stimulate demand. So that is used in the video game market quite a bit. Penetration pricing. This is used when build sales by changing the low initial price to keep the cost to customers as low as possible. This may discourage competition, but it's also going to lower our profit line. So we have to be willing to take a hit on our profit in order to gain market share, knowing or at least anticipating the profits coming later once that market share is gained. All right, growth. Stage 2 is growth. If used, price skimming is an introduction stage. Now lower the price. So after we have got to the introduction stage, we price skim, we jack up that price until the product is no longer unique. Then we start to lower it. If we use penetration pricing, then we don't really change the price. We use promotions to increase sales. So we might increase our promotional budget, advertising, and things of that nature, the promotional mix. Maturity. Here we go. We get in the stage when we get to maturity, we're not going to do much with the price at all, but we have to identify new markets or make our product improvements, because now we are realizing that sales are starting to plateau. They are not gaining anymore. So now we need to make adjustments. Now in stages 2 and 3, different pricing techniques might be psychological pricing. These are customers' perceptions of a product which are influenced by the product's price. Price is a big-time indicator determining whether or not a customer is going to purchase a product. Prestige pricing, which is higher prices suggest status and prestige. This is when we are selling a brand. We talked about the Advil example, Advil versus generic ibuprofen. Prestige pricing is paying for that brand. Odd-even pricing, 99 cents versus $1 suggests a bargain. There is actually research out there that there are subliminal subconscious messages in our brain that when we see $3.99, we don't see $4, we see under $4. Therefore, it's stimulating us to possibly purchase the product. It's interesting but true. Price lining, which is items in a certain category are priced the same, so aligning those prices along the same lines. Promotional pricing, which is lowering prices for a limited time to try and stimulate sales and stimulate growth. So those are different pricing strategies that could be used. And then finally, multiple unit pricing, which is bulk pricing. So 3 for 99 cents or 2 for $3, and pricing strategies of those nature is called multiple unit pricing. Discount pricing offers customers reductions from the regular price. You'll see this as the product gets into the later stages of its life cycle. Percentage off of the price, maybe 20% off for this particular week, this promotional week. Cash discount for prompt payment. Quality discount for purchasing large quantities. Promotional discounts when the retailer or wholesaler does marketing for the manufacturer. So discount pricing can relate back to the customer, and in certain instances can be very beneficial to them. And then also seasonal discounts for products that have a high seasonal demand. We see that a lot in Wisconsin with the 4 different seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Decline phase, last one. Cut prices, generate sales to clear out the inventory, reduce manufacturing and promotional costs. Got to get that done, get it out of there, trying to get that product out of the decline phase. All right, I'm going to stop right there, and we will pick up this as part 2 when we will calculate and revise